What is now dominating Kenyan media is the story of Ruto versus Uhuru. Yeah. And what some of the media has done is to remind us of the war between the then president and his deputy, which started sometime in 2018, at least came out into the public in 2018, and continued up to the elections. And many people thought that now President Uhuru Kenyatta is out of power, is a retired president, hiyo maneno itaisha. And that is why so many of us seem to be very surprised that this thing has suddenly re-emerged. And now the issue is, or rather the excuse for this tiff is tax. Everybody must pay their taxes. And we're being told that the Uhuru Kenyatta family has been exempted from taxes. We are being told by none other than Ruto himself that Uhuru is financing demonstrations against the government. And it's very interesting, the way people are saying this, it's as if demonstrations are illegal. Yeah, that's how the Kenya Kwanza government is taking it and wants us to believe. Clearly, you can see the Kenya Kwanza people are seething with rage. They don't know what to do, because they can't believe it, that demonstrations are actually anchored in our constitution. You can protest. Yeah? And indeed, those who crafted the constitution knew very well that those in power will always get into mischief. Yeah? And they knew that those in power sometimes can buy all politicians. And therefore, the owners of the country, the real owners, the people of Kenya, yeah, what else do you expect them to do? Demonstrate. That avenue was left for them. And this Ruto Uhuru Manenos is getting serious, because the former president has even responded. Yeah. He has told us that there are people who usually do a lot of talking, but very little real action. Of course, he added that the late Professor Magoha was not like that. He did very little talking and a lot of work. And indeed, this Manenos is escalating, because the latest is the Nandi Senator, Senator Cherargei, has now come out and said that the former president is back in politics, and therefore his retirement perks, the government vehicles he has, the office provided by the government, etc., etc., should be withdrawn, because the former president is back in politics. Now hold on a minute. Who dragged the former president back into politics? Who? Because if it's an issue of taxation, there's no debate, there's no politics. The law is there. People just pay their taxes, and nobody needs to go to a podium to tell Kenyans so and so is not paying taxes. Is that necessary? And of course, all this is confirming the words of the former president. That there are people who just talk, no action. Because the current Kenya Kwanza government is very good at talking. Implementation of policies, work seen on the ground. You tell me what you think. Isn't it rather obvious? And you know, even appointments in government will tell you how serious somebody is about change. The quality of the team that has been picked to turn around this economy as promised, to work for Kenyans, to bring about change. If you look at that team, let me ask you honestly, are those the characters that can bring change to Kenya? Are those the characters who can put aside their own selfish, personal priorities and focus on serving the people? What kind of history do those characters have? I mean, some of them had cases in court. Those cases were dropped. They were appointed. Some of them have even been appointed while they still have cases ongoing. Are these the characters that can do the job? The characters of the people running the nation called Kenya. Yeah, let us just be truthful and honest with ourselves. But I now want to shock you. All these manenos about Uhuru Kenyatta that, Uhuru Kenyatta that, Kenyatta family this, Kenyatta family that, Moi family this, Moi family that, all that is nothing but hot air. Upepo moto. Nothing else. I can hear some of you shocked. Oh yes. And I'll tell you the whole reason why. And for clarity, let me give you my usual exciting illustrations. Here goes. Your dear wife has started hearing rumors that you are seen at such and such a lodging, at such and such a place, with people who did not have beards. Yeah, people had very smooth face. Some of them have used jig on their faces, skin lighteners. People without manly features. You have been seen with such characters all over the place. And she's suspicious. She suspects that you're meeting these fairer sex Kenyans, not for meetings, not for business. And the pressure piles up on you. And she has confronted you. And then suddenly, you change the conversation. Yeah, and of course, to change the conversation, you have to provoke her emotions. You know that your wife is not on good terms with her sister. You already know that on several occasions, your dear wife has complained and suspected that her sister anajaribu kukatia. Yeah, you know all that, and you know how upset she gets over that issue. And therefore, pop, out of nowhere, you change the conversation. You know, this sister of yours, blah, 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 was doing this. In fact, the other day, alinitumia a text message, etc., etc. And your wife says, Bono kuniambia? And the whole mood of the conversation changes very suddenly. I mean, things are going to be very hot for you. But now all of a sudden, you're back on the same team. Yeah, with a common enemy. Her sister. Okay? You have successfully played the ace card called changing the conversation. Yeah, you don't like the current conversation. You're guilty. You're cornered. So what do? You change the conversation. You know, it is sad that we're all forgetting that you, dear, are masters of propaganda and manipulation. Yeah, we all seem to be forgetting. It is the same characters. And so I want you to jog your memories a little. Yeah, this thing happened so recently. We're all having a national conversation about who really won the presidential elections. And things were getting very hot. And things are becoming very obvious. For instance, Raila Odinga told us the other day that he was talking to a diplomat. And he asked this diplomat, within the EEC, the European Union, if a country had an election where 4 commissioners disputed the results and 3 commissioners were for the results, and then that person who was only supported by 3 commissioners, ended up being sworn in as president, what would happen next? And the diplomat told Raila what would happen is that that country would be ejected from the European Union. It would be ostracized because nobody would acknowledge or accept those election results. And so Raila asked, if these are the standards for Europe, why are the standards for Africa lower? Because you'll remember in our last presidential elections, the person who was supported by 3 of the commissioners, while the other 4 said, no, this can't be the results. The person who was accepted by the 3 is now president. And this thing can never happen in Europe. So why is it happening in Africa? Is it that in Africa we have accepted lower standards? Or what is happening here? Anyway, we were having that conversation, and the conversation was getting very hot. And then suddenly, the conversation was changed deliberately. Because what are we discussing now? You tell me. We're discussing taxes. We're discussing former President Uhuru Kenyatta. We're discussing the Kenyatta family. We're discussing the Moi family. The corruption in those families. How those families acquired their wealth. That's the discussion we're having. But let me ask you a simple question. Is that the priority discussion for us right now, where we're in Kenya? Is it? Or is the priority getting electoral justice first? Because if we can't get the people who we think can address these issues, correct the past, correct the evil things that have happened in the past, put things in order, if we can't elect those people, then we're just wasting our time. Everything we discuss out there is hot air. Because somebody will select the people to be in government. And those people who will be selected to be in government will never do what we want. They will do what they want. After all, we did not elect them. Get my drift? And so I just thought I should give you that heads up. Somebody has changed the conversation. Okay? This is not the conversation we should be having. And of course, this person is very clever. They knew how emotive this topic is. Some of us like former President Uhuru Kenyatta very much. And anything that touches on them, inafanya temperature inuke. It makes the temperature in the body rise. These people know that. And therefore, we have been trapped. We have been fooled into changing our national conversation. Now, seriously, and I mean very seriously, should we be discussing about snatching government vehicles from former President Uhuru Kenyatta? Is that what we should be discussing as a country? That's very important. That's the priority. Should we seriously be discussing what former President Uhuru Kenyatta did or did not do? And the people who are holding this discussion have done zero? I challenge you. Show me what they have done so far. Okay, Hustlers Fund, 500 bob. Okay, what else? Let's get serious. Let's get serious, Kenyans. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.